I think you might have had one of, if not the best WWE debuts of all time.
Someone was talking about it yesterday. Yeah, there was, people believed it.
Yeah.
People really believed it. And when I watch the footage, I can break it down to the moment where I got them. It's when Vince says, you know, you, and I'm like, talking to me kind of thing. Like the guy, and I think I even pointed to the guy beside me like him. And they're like, no, you. And the confusion I had with like, is this like for real me? That was the moment people were like, this guy's really coming out of the audience.
Yeah.
And, you know, so now, okay, that's like 15 years ago, 16 years ago in April. So there's kids that were 10 years old that are now 26 years old. And they're telling me, you know, like they thought it was real for years and years and years and years.
Well, it's also Vince going, you do speak English, right? And you're like, see. And then the crowd goes into the soccer chant and they're right behind you. You're the biggest baby face of the whole night from just saying the word yes.
Yeah. So I was driving to Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and I was in developmental. It was a Friday. And Nova, Mike Bucci, called me and he's like, Boris, my character was Boris at the time. He goes, Boris, can you speak Italian? And like a month earlier, Dusty Rhodes called this guy, Fearless Jack Bull, hilarious gimmick. It was like an past his prime alcoholic, Evel Knievel comedy gimmick. And he said, you know, can you ride a motorcycle? And he thought it was someone impersonating Dusty. And he said, nope, because everyone does a Dusty impersonation, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, can you learn to ride a motorcycle? He's like, nope. And, you know, that was the end of the conversation. Then he looked and saw the 203 area code, Stamford, Connecticut, and had like a heart attack. And Cody was actually just in developmental. So Dusty came down to kind of see Cody and talk to the class. And he said, if anybody ever calls you and says, can you do something? The answer is yes. And of course. And then you better learn how to do it. And like a month later, they call me and they say, can you speak Italian? And I'm like, yes. And then after I said a few lines, because I used to work downtown Toronto in rush hour traffic, I had a cassette in my car that would just play and like flip over and play. And so in rush hour traffic, I'd listen to this tourist Italian tape. And so I said a few lines from the tape. Like I said, vorrei un mezzo chilo di formaggio. It means I want to buy a half kilo of cheese. Like something you would say at a market.
Yeah. It's a lot of cheese, by the way.
A lot of cheese. And I could see them sitting at like a boardroom table with a speaker, and they're all like, I don't know, it sounded good to me. I don't know. And they're like, okay, you're gonna fly out tomorrow. You might debut on Monday. So they sent me my passport. Like that day, I flew out. Well, first I went to Borders, and I bought like 8 DVDs.
The bookstore.
Yeah. I bought DVDs or CDs for Italian. I downloaded them to my iPod. And the entire flight, I'm just drinking espressos, trying to learn Italian on the way there. And that was it. Yeah. Then so I got there Sunday morning, and then I had a day in Milan by myself, and then I debuted the next day. And then I come home and they're like, pack your bags, you're on the road. And so it was 0 to on the road. And then I was on the road for like 8 years straight.
But it's not just that you were believable in your debut. You're in the ring with Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
You're in the ring with Umaga, the Intercontinental Champion. Then you win the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, it was. I mean, can there be a more definitive, life-changing moment than ever? Like it just changed everything. It changed my family history, you know, and it was an incredible moment. So sometimes a lot of time goes by without me watching the footage, and then I watch it back and I'm like, man, what the heck was I thinking? You know, I remember repeating to myself, you're prepared. You are prepared. You're over-prepared. This is what you trained for. Why are you nervous when you're reaching the finish line? Like, I mean, imagine running a race and the finish line's coming and you're getting nervous. This is this was our goal. And just talking myself through it and I guess we hit a home run, you know?
So what day do you go from being in the back with everybody else to making the transition to you're an audience member for the beginning of the show?
Yeah, so it's funny. This was in the middle of a tour. So I'm at the hotel and no one's there. They come on that night. So I'm already in my room sleeping. So I wake up, there's like the bus is leaving at whatever, like 10 a.m. or something. And I come down to go on the bus. And, you know, I knew some people from OVW, But some people that were in the WWE, they didn't know who I was. They thought I worked for like the European office or something. And then I'm just hanging around in Raw, and then someone calls me and says, Vince would like to speak to you. And I'm like, that's, the first time I met Vince and stuff. And, amazing experience, puts everything down, turns, you have his full attention, and just, it was a very good experience.
So at what point, like, I imagine you get there with everybody else. Then when do they go, okay, well, Santino, you're going to go out in the crowd now?
Oh, so, okay. So as I'm walking in the door, I had met Arn Anderson before at OVW. And literally, like, they're walking out of the production meeting. He has his, his papers in his back pocket. And he walks by and goes, hey, kid, you having a good day? You're winning the IC strap. And walks away. I'm like, IC strap? That means Intercontinental Championship? Like, did I just hear that right? And then someone confirmed it. We had a little walkthrough. And then the show starts. And then they bring me out to a seat that says reserved. And then the crazy thing was when Vince's music hit, everybody rushed the barricade, like 4 or 5 people deep. And I'm like, oh my God, he's not going to see me. And I'm like panicking. And then slowly, as he's talking, they kind of filtered back to their seats. And then Umaga came out, and it might have been the other order, but they rushed the barricade again. I go, oh my God, I lost my opportunity again. And then they kind of filtered back to their seats. And then when he said, does anybody in the audience? And I'm like, phew, and I was there. I was front row. I think I even had to, nudge someone out of the way. But I had to make sure he can see me. And then he scanned the audience and said, you, that guy.
Yeah, in the brown shirt.
Yeah. I still have that shirt. I'm saving it for the movie.